What is the answer for this? This C. A. So they are pesticides. They are pesticides. Good. The answer for this? The answer for this is D. D. Fine. So yes, you are true. It's vegetable oils. I told you the same question was asked in 2019 as well as in 2018. Same question repeated twice, but not in the same format, but with a little deviation. But answer is the same. Both were talking on import of vegetable oils. So in continuation with APMC, we were discussing APMC yesterday, and I told you model APMC. So this was the history. Like earlier we had APMC, then we moved on to model APMC, then we should move on to ENAM. So APMC, all the 32 states plus all 32 plus states and union territories had enacted this act. But when it comes to model APMC, not all the states had done this. And when it comes to ENAM, even poor penetration, even very poor penetration. You want to see the question? All these are UPSC questions only. 2018, 29 questions where you can see in the question paper also. Fine. We shall move. Okay, fine. So previous slide, the first one. This one or this one? All the questions I am showing are all UPSC questions, previous year questions only. Either UPSC or something related to UPSC like CRPF or a CDS examination like that. So everything related to UPSC only. Mostly UPSC question will be I am asking. So for APMC, so for bringing in model APMC, the existing APMC must be amended. Then to bring in ENAM, the existing model APMC must be amended. So only few states had amended the model APMC to incorporate ENAM into existence. Fine. Then what do you mean by ENAM? What do you mean by ENAM? E stands for electronic National Agricultural Market. NAM stands for National Agricultural Market. So what NAM stands for is that if this is the geography of India, connecting all the 8,000 APMCs, all the 8,000 plus APMCs into a single digital online trading platform. Single digital online trading platform. So every APMC, that is 8,000 plus APMC, will be connected digitally, electronically to a single trading platform. So what are the advantages? Fine. So first thing, we can cut across the geographical boundaries. For example, earlier, if I have a APMC within Tamil Nadu, if there's a farmer, either he can go to one district to other district, or from one taluk to other taluk. But state to state, he was not permitted, or it was not easy for him to do trading because of logistics and all. Now what happened? Because of this online transaction and online trading, now a Punjab farmer can trade a turmeric product in Erode, or a Erode farmer can trade saffron in Himachal Pradesh. So the geographical boundary of trading has become easier because of online trading of these commodities. So that is the first advantages, that is traversing through the geographical boundaries. Second thing, so entire India there will be only single market fees, single entry fees. So entire India will have only one entry fees. So if you pay entry fees in Tamil Nadu, if you are trading in Punjab, you don't have to pay entry fees in Punjab. No, only one entry fees. If you pay in Tamil Nadu, that is all sufficient. That will all applicable for any other states in the country. Earlier in model APMC, I told you for every state there is one single market fee, single entry fee, single taxation. Now single entry fee, single transaction, single rules and regulation for the entire country. Single rule for entire country. Rule, regulations, taxes, levies. So all for entire country it is uniform. So state to state we do not have any differences. If we have differences, then we cannot do the online trading. So for making it more uniform, entire state has to make this ENAM into a uniform single rule, single regulation, single tax system and single levy structure. So even the market fee, the entry fee will be uniform. It will not vary from state to state. What is the uniform, what is the market fee in Punjab will be the market fee in Tamil Nadu also. So that is the case. And above all, every transaction will happen online, whatever transaction, even the auctioning will happen online. So earlier we used to have this manual auctioning where people will be standing and there will be some employees from the market trading committee and they'll be doing the auctioning. So there only I told you, because of cartelization and other aspects, there were a lot of corruption. Now there is no room for corruption because every trading is happening where? Through online. So through online we cannot have cartelization. So it is like more of transparency. When we go into e-commerce or e-governance, the advantage of going for e-governance is what? The transparency. When transparency is more, accountability also increases. That is the advantage of going into this electronic national agricultural market. Now the machines will be digital machines. Already we have seen that in model APMC. It will be digital machines. So every machines will be connected online. So whatever way we are putting, it will be displayed in the online. So there is no room for any errors in the digital machines. First thing. Second, scientific grading has to happen. And I told you in model APMC, in APMC, the scientific grading has not been done. But in ENAM, scientific grading has to be done. Scientific grading and sorting. So why scientific grading and sorting is a must in ENAM? For example, if I am a farmer in Punjab, I am trading a turmeric in Erode, which means that the quality of that particular product, if I am going manually, then I can check it through smell, I can feel it, I can visually observe it. But when we are trading through online, the Punjab farmer will not be able to physically feel all these things. It is like trading what you do in e-commerce. No, you buy a dress, but when you buy a dress, it will be something different. So when you apply it and when you purchase it, when you feel it, it will be different. So it is for the dress itself, means what about the commodities? It is even more precious, no? So only the scientific grading is a must in electronic national agriculture market, because it has to be scientifically graded and sorted. Because any farmer in Punjab, if he has to participate a trade in Erode or some other in Tamil Nadu, only if it is scientific graded, it can be uniformly applied throughout the country. It can be applied uniform throughout the country. That is the reason why we should go for scientific grading and sorting. So these are the advantages of going for electronic national agriculture market. Then what are the disadvantages? If these are so much advantages are there, then why ENAM has not been amended by many of the states? Because many states are reluctant to amend this ENAM or the existing APMC to accommodate ENAM. Why it's so? So far only 600 to 700 APMCs has been moved into ENAMs, which means that only 10% of the APMCs had moved into ENAMs. Out of 7,000 to 8,000 APMCs, what I told you, only 10%, not even 10% has moved into ENAM. Why? Illiteracy of farmers. Okay, what else? Illiteracy of farmers. Then it is costly. One reason, good. One reason is costly, good. So right, you are perfectly right. So first is for digital divide. Tamil Nadu state itself have a lot of digital divide, rural to urban. think about the states like Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, where the digital divides are very high. Most of the APMCs are in the very rural hamlet. So how about bringing internet into these things? Then we need 24 by 7 electricity. 24 by 7 electricity. Do you think it is possible in India? Most of the APMCs have these facilities, but still some of the APMCs do not have this 24 by 7 electricity, particularly Northeast India, in northern western parts of India, and the eastern parts of India, and western parts of India. All these places where there are some 10 to 12% of APMCs which do not have 24 by 7 electricity. When you don't have 24 by 7 electricity, then what is the point of going for online trading? Online trading, because some are left out of the trading, then it is not inclusive, right? It is not inclusive. That is the reason why we need. Okay, fine. So 24 by 7 electricities. Then lack of political will. Lack of political will. Lack of political will. As I told you, these APMCs are money minting machines, or place where corruptions are happening. So when it is more of corruption oriented, do you think Indian politicians will be amending the APMCs to exist to accommodate the CNAM? Definitely, it is not going to happen. That is the reason why most of the politicians are reluctant, because in elections and all, where money is being transferred only through this APMC mandis, no, the money has been transferred for example, cash for votes, where they are giving only through these mandis, because this is a place where huge amount of cash transactions will be handled, black money will be pumped in. So this is a place for where robust corruption will be happening. So this political will is not allowing the people or allowing the system to change from APMCs to ENAM. Then, as suggested by some of the students, heavy capital. Sorry. So heavy capital. So for example, to modernize a single APMC, we need modernize a single APMC into ENAM. We need around 4 to 5 crores. Think about 8,000 crores, 8,000 APMCs, where we need intensive capital infusement, where the state governments are not are willing to invest so much amount into ENAM, because I told it has to be scientific storage, it has to be scientific grading. See, even the storage has to be more scientific, where we should have cold storages, we should have some godowns. So everything has to be upgraded for ENAM. That is the reason why most of the governments are reluctant to go, because the capital investments are very, very, very high. That is the reason why the ENAM is not picking up as we expected. Or we are having a little technical problem. Just wait. So any doubts? This will be your last agriculture class. So any doubts piled upon can be asked. So if you have any doubts regarding earlier topics, so we can ask. So this will be your last agriculture class. So you can brush up on my experience. Maheshwar, what experience you want? There are many experiences in my life. What experience you want? Fine. The board is how to prepare for agricultural topics. Fine. See, for agriculture topics, I already told you. Go for that NCRT first thing. Second, our class notes and current affairs. These three will be sufficient. Beyond that, studying for geography, NCRT. So will be applicable for both. So will be applicable for both UPSC as well as for geography as well as this one. And then studying for economics. So for economics will also coincide with agriculture syllabus. So when you study agriculture, when you study economics, when you study geography NCRT, when you study economics NCRT, then when you study this agriculture syllabus, what I taught in the class, then your current affairs. Current affairs means what you go through in the newspapers every day. So there will be some schemes, there will be some policies, there will be some techniques. For example, we'll be talking about one in the coming slide. Zero budget natural farming, what we studied. These things will be coming in the news very often. Organic farming, etc. So those will be asked. So like this only we can make up, because studying agriculture is again 10 to 15 class phenomena, but we cannot invest so much on that, because for UPSC, the syllabus is highly vast. It is not easy to confine the syllabus to 4 or 5 classes. So we cannot do that. So we have to accommodate whatever is possible in 4 to 5 classes. Fine. UPSC experience, I will tell you. Personally, I will tell you, Mahesh, because I don't have time. Because today we have to see WTO and some other topics which is very, very crucial. So what is the answer for this? What is the answer for this? So we have to discuss national agriculture market. So what is the answer for this? C. So good. So fine. So coming to the controversial acts. So the questions from these acts will not be there in the prelims, but for mains we may expect some questions. So prelims, normally since this is more of a debatable, the questions may not come directly from these acts because the government has put this on hold. But what about mains? Some questions may come. So first thing, so how many of you go with this act? How many of you go with this act? How many of you support this act? Maheshwar is the only person to support, or what? Others are against. Can I take it that way? Navashri, where is Navashri? Are you online or not? So I will take others are against this act. See, first thing, I told you APMC has so many disadvantages. So this act is trying to put away all those disadvantages. What happens? Normally, according to this act, what happens? There will be a monopoly of APMC. No private company will be allowed to trade inside, or no farmers will be allowed to go outside. Now, this act will take away that monopoly, wherein any private players, licensed private players, can enter into this area, or in the farmers is willing, he can take it away from this area. So either way it is advantageous for the farmers as well as for the private players. So this is the most important, because going with the latest trend where the private players are, for example, we have now MNCs, Walmart, Reliance, Spencers, etc. Palamudicchola, everyone where they are trading with the local farmers. So when they are trading directly with the local farmers, when we are cutting this middleman, we are doing one important thing. What is that? We are reducing the price spread of a particular commodity. Price spread. We are reducing the price spread of a particular commodity. What do you mean by price spread? For example, if this is if this is onion, so what is the price at which the onion is procured from the farmers? Then what is the price where the onion is sold at the consumers? Then what is the difference between these two? Is called as price spread. Is a price spread. So when there is more channels, for example, when there are more middlemen, the price spread will be very high. The price spread will be very high. When the marketing channels or when the middlemen are very limited, for example, the Palamidicholana, they go directly to the farmers, they buy for a very good price and they sell it to the customers. So we have them only one or two intermediaries, where mean the farmers will get more than 40 to 50% higher price than what they go through this APMC. So the price spread will be very much limited. This benefits both the farmers, the MNCs as well as the consumers. So these are the advantages of going for abolishing the monopoly of this APMC. First thing. Fine. Then why the farmers are protesting? Why the farmers are protesting? So first you should see which farmers are protesting. The farmers from Punjab, Haryana and Western Uttar Pradesh. So the problem now, these three states where MSP is robust. Only in these three states, yes, fine, good. Only in these three states the MSP are robust, which means that all the farmers from these three states sell their rice wheat to APMCs. So in APMC they will get the MSP guaranteed. But at the same time, this act is what? Suppose if there are 700 APMC in Punjab right now there are, assume that there are 700 APMC in Punjab right now. Now anyone can do trade anywhere. Private players can come inside, which means that the 700 APMCs may become 500 tomorrow, then 100 the next year, and finally it will become 0, which means that APMC will become 0. APMC in future in 1 or 2 decades it will become 0. It will completely dominated by whom? The private players. 100% by the private players. So APMC is guaranteeing MSP. But what is the guarantee that these private players will get you at MSP? This is the problem with Punjab and Haryana farmers. See, same thing what we are seeing like Zomato, Swiggy and all. When Zomato, Swiggy all introduced, we were getting commodities, that is foods for 10 rupees, 15 rupees, ice cream 15 rupees, because offer prices. When early stages where we were allowed to use the service, after using the service, what happened? Now do you get anything subsidized price? No, you are getting more than the market price, which means that once we are getting acclimatized with the process, now the MNCs will start to exploit the people. This is the fear the farmers are having from Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, because MSP is not a legal right. Very important, because MSP is not a legal right. So it is not a legal right. This is very important, because since it is not a legal right, the government is not bound to obey. Even if it is not by the private, you cannot go against the state. You can go against the private, but not go against the state, because the government is not guaranteeing you a legal right. It is not a statutory right. It is not a constitutional right. It is not even a democratic right. It is just only a policy. It is just only a policy. That is the reason why this act has been a big controversy, particularly Punjab farmers, Haryana farmers, and Western Uttar Pradesh. Fine. Coming to the second one, this act is a little more okay compared to the previous one. This is okay, fine. But what is the problem with this? So here, what is this? This is for contract farming. So which means that the contract between two persons, one is the farmers on the other side, and second one is the promoter or the private company on the other side. So they will enter into an agreement. Where they will have a prefixed pricing. For example, if I am entering into agreement with Maheshwar is a farmer, I am a corporate, so I will ask Maheshwar, I will procure all your commodities at the end of the growing season for 1000 rupees per quintal. This is the agreement. Now I cannot breach the agreement, and he cannot also breach the agreement. Now we are both protected. Already we saw the case now, PepsiCo versus Union of not Union of India, Farmers of Punjab over a variety called as, I told it is FC5. It is FC5, not FL5, FC5. Please change that variety. It is FC5 over a Lay's potato variety. So to protect the farmers, we need a contract farming. Now this contract farming has been given legal status, a national legal status, wherein if there is some problem with the agreement, now the farmers can go to a conciliation committee. Consultation committee, can go to a consultation committee, or he can go to a subdivisional magistrate office. Subdivisional magistrate is assistant collector, or he can go to a appellate tribunal. He can go to appellate tribunal. According to the act, within 30 days, the remedy must be solved for both corporates as well as the farmers. Within 30 days, a remedy must be found out. Within 30 days, a remedy must be found out, even for the farmer side or even for the corporate side. So it cannot go beyond 30. But what is the problem? Like one more feature of this act now, that's very important. So the minimum agreement period. What is the minimum agreement period? So that is 1 season. A minimum of 1 season is important. So this is a very important feature, right? So the minimum agreement period can be 1 cropping season. So what do you mean by 1 cropping season? Suppose I am doing rice. I am entering into agreement with Maheshwar. So Maheshwar is a MNC. So just within 1 week, we cannot put an agreement. For example, next week you are bringing the product to me, I will get it for this price. 1 week, no, it is not possible. If I want to enter into agreement with Maheshwar must put an agreement before the Kharif season, before I go for sowing of rice. Then the validity of the agreement must be for at least 1 cropping season. That is around 4 to 5 months. This must be the minimum. Price, because if it is 1 week, then there is no use for going for this mutual agreement, because 1 week, what will be the price fluctuations? It will be not much, right? So it will be favoring the private players. So to favor the farmers, so at least a 1 month of agreement must be there. 1 cropping season of agreement must be there. Suppose if it is a dairy product, or suppose something like milk or something, then it is 1 production cycle of that particular activity. Suppose if it is a broiler or something, it is one production cycle is what? 50 to 60 days. If it is a dairy animal, if it is a milk or something, it is 1 year. If it is a goat or something, it is 6 to 7 months. So 1 production cycle will be the minimum agreement period for allied activities, not for cropping, for allied activities. Then what will be the maximum duration of that particular agreement? It will be 5 years. So maximum to 5 years have farmer and a MNC can get into an agreement. This is the feature of that particular act. Then why people are resisting against this act? Actually, this is a very good act only. But what is the problem? People fear that, see, in normal itself, remedy seeking is very, very problematic in India. In normal courts, for example, if I am having any problem, even if I go through a normal court, what will be the minimum duration of the court to settle the disputes? What will be the minimum duration? It will be years together. Even that PepsiCo versus the government, Punjab farmers, it took 10 to 12 months to come into amicable solution, and that too, it was not favorable for both the parties. It was just only a negotiation where the farmers were also asked to not produce, and the PepsiCo was asked to withdraw the case because of the public pressure. So no one was get benefited. If this is a case for the entire farmers, then think about, if entire country is coming into a contract basis, then who is going to protect these persons? Because remedy seeking is not easy, because he has to go into a consultation committee. He has normally, actually, as you told, it is 10 to 12 years on an average. Then for contract, if it is breached, then how will they seek their remedy? For example, the E. coli, what we studied now some 2 to 3 years back, where they get the remedy? No one got the remedy. Still, Tamil Nadu is a very developed state. Even in developed state, we are not getting a remedy. Then what about these people? So these are the problems where farmers are fearing that the MNCs may eat away their profits, or MNCs may dominate in the future. Suppose what kind of dominance they may bring in. Tomorrow they may enter into complete agriculture, then they make agriculture a complete MNC trading platform where the farmers' land may be acquired. This is the first problem they are facing, where the farmers' land may be acquired. There are some protection procedures in the law, but practically speaking, they are fearing that they will lose their resources. This is the problem. Then this one, the least controversial act of the three. Essential Commodity Act. So this is a very good act, actually. So the farmers do not have any actually problem with this. But unfortunately, since these 3 are coming in same dimension, all the 3 are put together, and against people are protesting against this. So earlier there were 5 important commodities, that is onion, potatoes, edible oils, edible oils, oil seeds and cereals. So we are talking only about agriculture commodities. Even non-agriculture commodities are under essential commodities like petrol and all. So what happens? So when a product is classified as essential commodity, now no person can stock this product. No person can stockpile this product beyond a certain limit. For example, if 10 kilograms is the statutory ceiling under this act, no one can stock that particular product beyond this limit. Suppose if he is stocking, then it will be called as hoarding. It is called as hoarding. So this is illegal. This is illegal hoarding. So this is illegal. So suppose if it is illegal, then he can be booked for IPC some provisions. I don't know what is the provision, but he can be booked for IPC under this Essential Commodities Act. And this is a non-bailable case. This is a non-bailable case because for hoarding and all, in Tamil Nadu and all, we will book him under Gundas Act. Gundas Act, where we don't have remedy until for 6 months. It will be non-bailable warrant. It will be non-bailable. Even up to 1 year he can be booked for this Gundas Act and all. Such a robust act. Now what government has done? The government has declassified all these commodities. Declassified. Which means that these crops will no longer be considered as essential commodities. These crops will be no longer considered as essential commodities. Which means that any trader who is doing trade in this can accommodate or can stockpile as limit as possible under one condition. What is that condition? So his limit must not go beyond his godown capacity. Suppose if his godown capacity is 100 tonnes, this is what he has entered into agreement with the government, then he can stockpile for 100 tonnes only. So we cannot stockpile beyond 100 tonnes. That is the only limitation what he has to obey. Other than that, he can do as many as possible until 100 tonnes. Earlier, if he is doing 100 tonnes, with the statutory ceiling is only 10 tonnes, this 90 tonnes will be considered as illegal hoarding. But now this 90 tonnes will be considered legal because all the crops has been considered as delisted commodities under Essential Commodities Act. Now he is free to hoard as many as possible until 100 tonnes of onions, 100 tonnes of potatoes, 100 tonnes of oil, etc. So now no problem. Then why this is very important? Earlier, because for example, I am a trader. I want to do onion processing. I wanted to do onion food processing. So I am a trader. So for food processing, I want to stockpile onion. So I am a genuine food processor. I wanted to do some onion powders. Now, even for that, if I stockpile earlier, it was considered illegal. It is considered illegal. So now, since I have declassified these commodities, now this has become legal and this will favor food processing industries. This will be favoring food processing industries actually. So first thing, this will be favoring food processing industries. Second, it will be used to tackle inflation. Normally what happened? The hoarders normally hoard, finding some point where the prices will rise up and they will sell. At the same time, when the commodities are not stockpiled, it is very difficult to tackle inflation also. It is difficult to tackle the unavailability of commodities. For example, the onion prices soar very high at some times. So at the time, since we don't have the hoarding of this onion, we could not use onion to tackle the unavailability of commodities at that particular time. So for these reasons, we need to delist all these commodities mostly because of onion prices. Since we cannot hold onion, the problem is what? Sudden hike of prices of onion, potatoes and all is happening. So now we can compensate all these unavailability through stockpiling of these commodities. Fine. So any doubt in these three acts? So if you ask me, I will also support the government only for all these three acts, because in pen and paper or in letter and spirit, these are good. But I do not know what will be the outcome, because when the APMC also came, it was considered as a very good act only. But now what has happened? Practically, when it is put into force, it has become a chaos of corruption. So right now they are all good acts only, but unfortunately we do not know what is the future. But if you ask me in UPSC angle, I would suggest you to go with the government stand, because the government is for the people. Fine. So let us not be too skeptical against the government. That is my stand. See, declassification means now they will be, see, I told these three or these potato, onion. Earlier it was classified. It was classified as essential commodities, cereals. So earlier it was classified as essential commodities. So when it is classified, what happens? We cannot hoard. We cannot hoard, or we cannot stockpile. We cannot stockpile that commodities. Now these are declassified from this act. They are now declassified from this act, which means that they are removed. Classified means nothing but they are removed from Essential Commodities Act. They are removed from Essential Commodities Act. Now I can stockpile all these commodities. Now I can stockpile because they are declassified or removed. Both are one and the same. They are removed from this act. Fine. They are removed. Yeah, that is true. Magesh, that is true. Fine. In Tamil Nadu, we are getting more than MSP. Even in the local mandis, the rice mill owners give more price than the MSPs. So in Tamil Nadu, no problem. Only in Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh and some parts of India, where MSP is given only through APMCs. That is a problem for them. Okay, fine. Fallow cropping. So we study relay cropping. So now we will be studying fallow cropping. Now we will be studying fallow cropping. So I told you relay cropping means it's one of the multiple cropping system, and this is also one of the multiple cropping system. Then how it is different from relay cropping? In relay cropping, I told you if this is rice, I can go for pulse at the 100th day of rice. If total duration of rice is 120 days, then at the 100th day I can go for some pulse. And again at the 80th day of pulse, I can go for some oil seeds. This is called as relay cropping. So fallow cropping is similar to relay cropping, but minor modifications are there. What are the modifications? Suppose if this is rice, soon after the harvest of rice, I will go for pulse. So earlier in relay cropping, I will start here itself. But in fallow cropping, soon after the harvest of that particular crop, rice, I will go for the second crop. So this is what is called as fallow cropping. Fallow cropping, which means that soon after the harvest of the first crop. Normally what we'll do, if this is rice, for kharif I will be going for rice. Then after harvest of rice, then I will take small break for field preparation. This place. Now the second crop I will go for some pulses. So this will be my cropping system. For example, this is pulse. So I will be using this place for field preparation, preparation of taking the stubbles and doing some manuring activities, organic agriculture is. So etc. So now in fallow cropping, what I will do, soon after the harvest of rice, I will not even do any cultural activity here. Soon after the harvest of the first crop, I will go for pulses or oil seeds. So soon after the harvest, that is what is called as fallow cropping. If you go for pulses, it is called as rice fallow pulses. Normally in delta region, it is very, very common, rice fallow pulses. Or if you go for oil seed, it is called as rice fallow oil seed. Why this scheme is very important? As I told you, we are not having a very good domestic production of oil seeds. So the government is promoting the farmers to go for rice fallow oil seeds. See, consider a situation. 10 years back, pulses also the same thing was happening, because in 10 years back, 2/3 of the pulses we imported from foreign countries. Only 1/3 was substituted through domestic production. Now we are having almost 80 to 90% of the domestic production for pulses. So we are meeting our domestic demands, 80 to 90% of pulses, through domestic production because of some schemes. In that one scheme is what is called as rice fallow pulses. So now to compensate the oil seed availability, now the government is going for rice fallow oil seed. So what are the advantages? See, this is the advantage because this is a minimal tillage concept. Minimal tillage concept. So whenever a minimal tillage concept is there, I told you, you should think about soil fertility, reduction of soil erosion, conservation of resources. It is more of resource use efficiency, and above all, carbon sequestration. It's a very good method for carbon sequestration. Relay cropping, fallow cropping, multiple cropping, mixed cropping, multi-tier cropping, all these things what we have studied are very good carbon sequesters. Carbon sequesters. So you should not forget this carbon sequestering. Carbon sequestering. So you should not forget all these things because everything UPSC will be related to what? Carbon sequestration. Carbon sequestration. Fine. So if that's a question on rice fallow pulses or rice fallow oil seed, remember it is soon after the harvest of rice we are going for this crop to utilize the nutrient what the rice has not used. First thing, to utilize the moisture which the rice has not used in the last phase of its development. That is the advantage of going for fallow cropping. Fine. Let us skip this, we can come later. Coming to food safety and standards. Food safety and standards. Any doubts so far? Any doubts so far? Or if no doubts, at least say no doubt because I don't know what you are thinking. But in future, government procurement gave for what you are telling, Vamshi, this government procurement may go for what you are telling this point. Vamshi, for what you are telling this government procurement may go further down. For what? Not getting farm loss. Of course, yes. See, government is having lot of problems when it comes to procurement. We told our buffer stock limit is around 40 to 50 million tonnes only, but we are having around 80 million tonnes only because of what? Open end procurement. Open end procurement. Why open end procurement? Since FCI is procuring everything, all the farmers are giving it to FCI. Suppose if we can allow private into this business, then at least we can reduce our buffer stock limits. We can reduce our. So these things are the only things why the government is pushing private players into agriculture. But unfortunately, we don't know what is going to happen in the future. So to avoid these things, what you told, no, the farmers are protesting, but we do not know what is going to happen in the future. In the next 2 or 3 years. So in fallow cropping, I told you, no, one is carbon sequestration. Second is controlling of erosion. Resource use efficiency. So these crops have high resource use efficiency. They use the soil moisture effectively, which has not been used by the later state of the rice. Soil moisture usage, soil fertility usage, nutrient usage, soil erosion, carbon sequestration. So these are the advantages of fallow cropping. Fallow cropping. Fine. Coming to food safety and standards. So we have to see the food safety and standards. What standards we had already seen. So in organic agriculture, we had seen this one, FSSAI. So for organic production, export and import, who is the regulating authority? It is FSSAI. It is FSSAI. What is the full form of FSSAI? It is Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. Food Safety and Standards Authority of India. So can you try this question? So one only. So Archana, one only, fine. Oh, you are telling like that. The answer is correct, but the reasoning is wrong. See, this is under Union Ministry of Health only, but this is a autonomous body. Okay, this is a autonomous body. This is an autonomous body. That is the only difference. So it is under the Ministry of Health only. This is under the Ministry of Health only, but this is not under this DGHS. It is under. It is an autonomous body. It is an autonomous body. It is not a statutory body. First thing, it is not a statutory body. It is an autonomous body or an independent body. It is an independent body. Fine. Now I ask you a question. Whether FSSAI mandatory for all the food products, whether FSSAI is mandatory for all the food products, whether it is mandatory or not. So it is yes from Maheshwar, mandatory for all. Anyone telling not mandatory? So Amshi is telling not mandatory. So practically it is not mandatory only. If you see practically, for example, the bakery what we are using now, maybe a older one, maybe a smaller one, may not have this Food Safety Standards Authority of India obliged. But unfortunately, it is mandatory for everyone. It is mandatory for even the kirana stores. It is mandatory even for the small hotels. It is mandatory for all the bakery products. It is mandatory for everyone dealing with food products. It is mandatory. It is mandatory. It is mandatory. Because food is very important. Adulteration is food is the biggest crime. That is the reason why FSSAI standards are very, very mandatory. But unfortunately, it is not a robust act where the implementation lacks a big problem. Because I told even local hotels has to obey by the FSSAI standards. But I do not know how many of the local hotels they know what is the standards called FSSAI. That is the problem, because practically speaking, most of the informal sectors or informal sectors, they do not comply with this FSSAI standards. For example, in bakeries we see a lot of food packets without even any FSSAI standards labels, because they do not know what is FSSAI. But they are liable for penalization, they are liable for prosecution, they are liable for punishment under the government FSSAI Act, because FSSAI is mandatory for all the food products. It is not even a single person is relaxed under FSSAI, because food is very, very important. Food is very, very important because it is a source of contamination. If food is getting contaminated, what happens? It ultimately leads to mortality, right? So it is directly connected with the lives of the people. It is like drugs. So it is, can any drug be sold under the country without any regulation? It will be a big chaos. The same thing holds for food also. No, unfortunately, because of informal sector into the food processing, food industry, we are not making it too mandatory or making it too more complicated, because if you make it mandatory and all, the problem is more robust. That is the reason why the government is not much concerned about these things. But if you are complaining, they will be charged under this act. They will be charged under this act. No, it was when it came itself, it was mandatory only. When the FSA came itself, it was mandatory only. But they had given time. They had given time for movement. But unfortunately, all is over. 2006 FSSAI came, around 1.5 years, 1.5 decades has gone, but still 50 to 60% of the informal sectors are not making it mandatory. That's a problem. Practically, it is not possible also. Even for animal feed, yes, even for animal feed also it is mandatory. Anything that is consumed by human and animals, it is mandatory. Even for TASMAC, what you drink as a this one, no alcohol, even for them it is mandatory. When you see this TASMAC bottles and all, no, these liquor bottles and all, you will see FSSAI standards in that. I don't know how many of you had seen that. How many of you have seen that? Anyone seen? You will not also reply because it's more personal, right? Okay, right, fine. So FSSAI. So in organic product, we saw two things, right? India Organic and Jaivik Bharat. Then we have AGMARK. 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 So this is under Ministry of Agriculture. So organic certification is voluntary. AGMARK is voluntary. So AGMARK is normally for processed foods like honey and other processed foods. We can go for AGMARK. Fine. Then we have this silk mark. Silk mark. I don't know how many of the women know this. We have a quality standard called Silk mark. It is given by Silk Board under Ministry of Textiles. Silk Board. So this is for a quality silk. So silk. If you see a silk saree, in future, see whether it is authorized or it is having this quality standard silk mark. I don't know how many of you has seen this. Anyone has seen this silk mark? I don't know how many of you have seen this actually. You are more concentrated on the saree than going with the standards and all. Yes or no? So silk mark. Another given by Silk Board. Ministry of Textiles. Fine. Then this one BIS. So this one. So Bureau of Indian Standards. Bureau of Indian Standards. Bureau of Indian Standards. So this is under Ministry of Consumer Affairs. This is under Ministry of Consumer Affairs. This is under the Ministry of Consumer Affairs. So this is also voluntary. Except for some commodities like milk and dairy products. And packaged waters. So for all these things, so for packaged waters, you will not see FSSAI. Instead, you will see this BIS, which is under Consumer Affairs Ministry, and this is a statutory body. This question was asked several times. The Bureau of Indian Standards is under Ministry of Consumer Affairs, is giving the standards. So normally it is voluntary for most of the products. For some products like tires, these tires and tubes of vehicles, no, it is mandatory. Then for this washing machines, refrigerators, and no, it is mandatory. Like that for agriculture commodities, for milk and dairy products, and for packaged waters, it is mandatory. So when you see a packaged water next time, see for this BIS standards, you will see that BIS standards. Then ISO. Going for ISO. I don't know how many of you know. What is the full form of ISO? Anyone? What is the full form of ISO? What is the full form of ISO? What happened? No activity. Online students, are you all alive, awake, or tired? Even I am tired, but still don't know. International Organization for Standardization. Good. 8552. Fine. International Organization for Standardization. So for food products, normally we have this 9,001 and all. That is for normally equipments and other manufacturing items. Then for food products, the standards are this series. 22000. 22000. Good, Kunal, good. So 22000. So for environmental products or products which are eco-friendly, it is 14000. This was asked once. 14000. ISO 14000 for eco-friendly products. 22000 for food products. Fine. Then we have one commission called as Codex Alimentarius. So this is a who regulate import and export quality. For what? For organic products we have FSSAI. For other products also we have FSSAI. For silk we have the Silk Board. For every one commodity we have different boards. Generally it is FSSAI which looks after the export and import quality. For environmental products, 14000 is for eco-friendly products. Eco-friendly or environmental products. For example, I am using this pen which is eco-friendly. Then I can get ISO 14000. For food products, I told you it is 22000. For example, organic means, for example, a product like milk, etc. It is ISO 22000. So ISO is an international standard. The equivalent international standard for India is BIS. The equivalent international standard, national standard for ISO is what? BIS. BIS. Bureau of Indian Standards. For gold, we have ISO standard also, but in India, we normally go for BIS standards. BIS standards. Fine. So now, for internationally, there is a commission called as Codex Alimentarius Commission. Codex Alimentarius Commission. This is an international body. It is an international body. It is jointly developed by two important organizations. That is FAO plus WHO. It is jointly developed by two important organizations, FAO and WHO. So they two join together to form this organization, Codex Alimentarius. Then what is the role of this Codex Alimentarius? This Codex Alimentarius is a international standardizing body, international standardization body, which means that for all the food products, they have come with all the standards. So only countries which comply with this Codex Alimentarius are allowed to do trade under WTO. So under WTO, if you wanted to do trade, that too in food products, then you should follow this Codex Alimentarius, standards. So all our standards, what we follow in India through FSSAI, are all standards taken from where? Codex Alimentarius. So when we are not taking standards from Codex Alimentarius, then we cannot do international food trade, whether export or import. For example, all our rules related to food standards through FSSAI has been taken from where? From this Codex Alimentarius Commission. They had given elaborate procedures. For example, if it is milk, what are the standards for milk? Codex Alimentarius has given. So based on that standards, then our FSSAI will prepare standards for milk. So based on their reference value, we will develop our own standards. So it is only based on this. When you are going by Codex Alimentarius standards, then only the WTO will allow us to trade with the foreign countries, because this is a universal standardization procedures. United States Department of Agriculture, European Union, all have taken their reference from where? This Codex Alimentarius only. So when we take only from Codex Alimentarius, we can get international trade agreement of food and commodities, or else it is not possible. So Codex Alimentarius. So it is jointly developed by FAO and WHO. So very important. Then one more is called as HACCP. This is also voluntary. So this is called as hazard analysis, critical control point. So normally for exports, if you want to do exports to some developed countries, you can go for this HACCP. Normally for meat products, for horticulture products, or processed foods. Some countries will demand HACCP. They will not demand FSSAI. Instead, they will be demanding what? HACCP. Hazard analysis, critical control point. If they are demanding HACCP, then you should go only for HACCP. For example, USA demands HACCP for most of the animal products. European Union, Middle East countries, for normally the poultry, the meat, the pork, what we are all exporting, must compile with this HACCP standards. And again, this HACCP standards is taken from this Codex Alimentarius. Okay, fine. So for all these things, the mother is what? The Codex Alimentarius. Fine. This SAHCCP has been asked several times. Fine. Any doubts? So now there is a portion called as technology mission. So that has been taken in economics. Now I'll ask you, what is pink revolution? It is given now here. What is pink revolution? Very easy question. Fine. So meat, onions, red meat, prawns, right? Fine. So this was pink revolution. Now this is very important because our honorable Prime Minister has talked about this sweet revolution. What do you mean by sweet revolution? Brinjal, Akash, brinjal பிங்காவா இருக்கு உங்களுக்கு? What is sweet revolution then? Sugar. Okay, then so it is honey and honeybee production. Honey and honeybee production. Sweet revolution in Hindi it is called as Miti Kranti. M-I-T-H-I Miti Kranti. Miti Kranti. So it is to boost honey and honeybee production. Honey and honeybee production. So honorable minister, our prime minister has talked about this several times in his Man Ki Baat. For doubling the farmers' income, he latestly added this revolution. Earlier we do not have something called sweet revolution. ஒன்று கிடையாது 2019 முன்னாடி. In 2020 our Man Ki Baat I added this Miti Kranti. The raw English translation of this is what? Sweet revolution. Fine, sweet revolution. I don't know what is Miti Kranti. Anyone in Hindi can tell me that. What is Miti Kranti? Miti na enna? No Hindi speaking students here. There are around 22, but no Hindi speaking students. Fine. Now coming to horticulture. So this question is very important. Not about the question. What all comes under horticulture? This is very important. What all comes under horticulture? Tell me what all comes under horticulture. Oh, Mithina sweet, good. Fine. So what all comes under horticulture? So this is very important. Normally you know fruits and vegetables comes under horticulture. Fine. Then flowers and ornamental crops. Flowers and ornamental crops comes under horticulture. Fruits, vegetables, fine. Yes, medicinal and aromatic crops. Medicinal and aromatic crops. And aromatic crops. Aromatic crops. Flower is floriculture. That floriculture comes under horticulture. So horticulture is the biggest umbrella under which we study about flowers. It is called as floriculture. When we study about fruits, it is called as pomology. When we study about vegetables, it's olericulture, like that. Horticulture is the biggest umbrella. It's the biggest umbrella under which we are all studying these things, right? So we study about fruits, vegetables, flowers and ornamental crops, medicinal and aromatic crops. Then spices and condiments. Spices and condiments. Spices and condiments. Then we study orchards. C-H-A-R, orchards. Orchards means palathotangal. Orchards. We study about orchards. Then we study about gardening and landscape and gardening. So these all comes under horticulture. Because suppose if UPSC is asking a question on horticulture, normally students are limiting their answers for fruits, vegetables alone. The horticulture is not only fruits, vegetables. It is more than fruits, vegetables. That is flowers and ornamental crops, medicinal and aromatic crops, spices and condiments, orchards. Orchard means palathotangal, where we grow fruits in a large scale. For example, for wine making, we grow grapes in a larger scale, which is called as viticulture. That is also part of horticulture. And gardening and landscape. The botanical garden is what we normally see. It's a type of horticulture. It's under horticulture only. It is called as landscape and gardening. So all this comes under horticulture, because in 2018 there was a question on National Horticulture Mission. இது வந்து நிறைய பேர் படிக்கல, but unfortunately many didn't answer these aspects. Only they restricted the answer for fruits and vegetables alone. But unfortunately this horticulture mission talks more about these things also. So when you are writing your 15 marks, you are restricting your answer for fruits and vegetables, flowers only. So which is only 30% of the demand of the question. Rest is 70% you have not answered at that time. So many students went wrong in this question, or they missed the critical points, or they miss the critical points. Fine. So in crop classification, so before going into WTO, so I forgot to say one crop classification. So we didn't see pulses. We see cereals, but we didn't see pulses. So we'll fastly finish pulses. So pulses, what is green gram? Hindi name? So I wanted to say the Hindi names alone because UPSC will ask only these things. No, I forgot to say for pulses. Did we see this? For pulses, did we see the Hindi names of pulses? So anyone know Hindi can say what is green gram? What is green gram? So fine, green gram is mung bean. Mung bean. Mung bean. M-U-N-G, mung bean. Okay, black gram. So I'm not going to tell you that Tamil name. It is not needed. Even if I'm asking, you will go wrong. So let us not take risk by asking you the Tamil name. Fine. What is black gram? It is urad dal. Urad dal. Urad dal. URAD. Tamil, Ulund, right? Hara channa, green gram. What is hara channa? Hara channa, no. Channa is Bengal gram, no. Black gram is urad dal. Urad dal. Then red gram. Red gram. So this has been asked several times. This has been asked several times. So red gram means it is called as tur or tuvar or arhar. Ellame Hindi names da. Tur, tuvar or arhar. A-R-H-A-R. Arhar. Or sometimes red gram is also called as pigeon pea. Pigeon pea. எல்லாமே ஒரே கிராமுக்கு தான் பேர். பிஜன் பி, ரெட் கிராம், தூர், துவர், அர்ஹர். In Tamil we called as துவரம் பருப்பு, right? துவரம் பருப்பு. All these are names for red gram. Red gram. Pigeon pea or red gram or தூர், துவர் or அர்ஹர். So நிறைய டைம் அர்ஹர் கேட்டிருக்காங்க or pigeon pea கேட்டிருக்காங்க. But red gram கேட்டதே கிடையாது. Fine. Then comes Bengal gram. Bengal gram. Or sometimes only gram. All one and the same. Sometimes UPSC will ask only gram, which means Bengal gram. So this is what is called as channa dal. Channa dal. So that is what you are trying to say. 8552, I don't know what is your name. But channa dal is not green gram. Channa dal is Bengal gram. Or chickpea. Chickpea. So both one and the same. Bengal gram or channa dal or chickpea. Channa dal or chickpea. Fine. Please refer. Okay, fine. Alla gram nalo the one and the same. Tamil we called as konda kadalai, right? Konda kadalai. Fine. Then guvar dal. This is called as cluster bean. Cluster bean. Cluster bean. So cluster bean are also called as guvar dal. This was asked once in UPSC. Because this guvar dal, from guvar dal will produce a gum called as guvar gum. Guvar gum. So this guvar gum is produced from this guvar dal, and this guvar gum is used in shale gas exploration. Shale gas exploration. Shale gas exploration. Exploration. So for that it has been exported to USA in 2015-16 and all. When USA was doing this shale gas exploration, it was using this guvar gum, which is taken from this guvar dal or cluster bean. So that was in current affairs, and UPSC asked that year also. Fine. Then kidney bean. Kidney bean. So this is nothing but your rajma. So you would have studied, no? Rajma. Chickpea means chana dal. I told you, chana dal. Chickpea. Chickpea. Chickpea means chana dal. Chana dal. Or Bengal gram. All one and the same. All one and the same. These were the commonly asked pulses. The rest of it is not necessary. We will limit with only these things. So fine. Fine. So now we will start with the important topic, WTO. Kaupi. Kaupi. I don't know what is the Hindi name for Kaupi, but in Tamil we call it as Tattapairu. So UPSC has asked only Kaupi. I don't know what is the Hindi name for Kaupi. But UPSC has asked several times Kaupi. So this is what is called as Tattapairu. Tattapairu, or sometimes it is also called as in Tamil. Tattapairu வேற என்ன பேர் இருக்கு தமிழ்ல? காராமணி. காராமணி. இதெல்லாம் பார்த்துருக்கீங்களா? இல்லை கலிஃபோர்னியா ரிட்டன் மாதிரி உட்காந்துருக்கீங்களே, எதுக்குமே பதில் தெரியல. நியூயார்க்கு, கலிஃபோர்னியா, லண்டன்லேருந்து டேரெக்டாக அப்படியே குதிச்சிட்டிங்களா? ஹார்ஸ் கிராம் இஸ் கொள்ளு. இல்லை எல்லாமே கலிஃபோர்னியா ரிட்டன். சிவப்பிரியா. காராமணி குழம்பு வீட். எங்கே கலிஃபோர்னியாலையா சாப்பிடுவீங்க நீங்கள் மகேஸ்வர்? நோ இஸ் ஆன்சரிங் எனிதிங், ரைட்? ஃபைன். Coming to WTO and agriculture. So how many members in WTO? Okay, no problem, Sivapriya. So in WTO there are 164 members. It is located at Geneva. So Geneva is where? Switzerland. 164th member is Afghanistan. 164th member is what? Afghanistan. India is a founding member. So it came into existence by 1995. So this is the backdrop of WTO. Then it is outcome of a round called as Uruguay round. It's outcome of Uruguay round. So earlier WTO was called as this one, GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs. So outcome of Uruguay round, General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, came into existence from 1995. Then what is the difference between GATT and WTO? Earlier GATT was only for trade of goods only. WTO is both trade and goods and services. So this is the biggest difference. So earlier GATT was only for trade in goods and commodities, but WTO is for both goods as well as services. Fine. Then it's outcome of Uruguay round. Fine. So with this we can go for a 5-minute break. In the coming we can talk about agreement on agriculture. So 5 minutes break. So please come back fast because this is the last class. I have to finish WTO. Shall we start? Because taking for weekend batches that to 6 to 8:30 is very tough. All are tired, looking very dull. They have to return from work. Very pathetic. That Maheshwar, I know you are eating. What is that? Karamani Kolamba? Then I also feel extremely hungry. Veg fried rice. Good. Last slide, what do you want, Gunal? Last slide means what do you want? That last slide, I don't know. Because normally I erase. I don't save the changes. Normally I erase. So fine. So coming to WTO. So I told you India is a founding member of WTO. The first session of WTO has held at what? Singapore. Sorry. The first session has held at what? Singapore. The first session has held at Singapore 1996. The last session held at 2017 at Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires. So capital of Argentina. Buenos Aires. Capital of Argentina. In 2019-2020, the meet has to happen at Nur Sultan. Nur Sultan. So which is the capital, which is in the city of WTO. How many members? 64, 164 members. 164 members. So it's a city under Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan. But because of pandemic, the WTO meeting in 2020 did not happen at Nur Sultan. Instead, it will happen in 21. It will happen in 2021 at Geneva. At Geneva. But the chairman will be the president of Kazakhstan. President of Kazakhstan will be the president of Kazakhstan. So the place alone differs because of pandemic. To be more safe, European Union was selected to be the place where the meeting will be hosted. But the presidentship will remain the same, where the Kazakhstan president will be the presiding officer. Will be the presiding officer. Fine. So every 2 years once, the highest decision-making body of WTO is called as Ministerial Conference. Ministerial Conference. Highest decision-making body of this is called as Ministerial Conference. So every 2 years once, the Ministerial Conference will happen at several locations. So every 2 years once. But this is not mandatory because I told you, in 2017 was the last meet. When the next meet? It will be on 2021. So practically or procedurally, it is not followed. Actually not followed. But according to the procedure, theoretically, it has to meet once in twice. Who all will meet? All the 164 nations. Trade minister will be there. For India, it will be our commerce minister. Commerce minister will sit in the meeting. Ministerial conference. This is the highest decision-making body of the WTO. Fine. Coming to the next one. Then, has India hosted any meeting? This is a question. Has India hosted any WTO meeting? Any answers? Yes. Where? Maheshwar, you must tell me where India hosted the meetings. Which is the location? Where did you see? Maheshwar, what is the answer? So India has not hosted any meeting actually. India has not hosted any meeting. But random guess. Okay, fine. It's wrong actually. Fine, no problem. But there is another one body called as ministerial conference. Sorry, ministerial meeting. Ministerial meeting. Ministerial meetings. So earlier, the decision-making body is called as ministerial conference. That's the highest decision-making body. But still, every year a ministerial meeting will happen annually. So this will be presided by the respective state ambassadors or the secretaries, foreign secretaries. Ambassador or the foreign secretaries So he will be presiding over. So this has happened at New Delhi several times. So not the ministerial conference, but it is the ministerial meetings has happened several times. So here only the foreign secretary or the ambassadors will be sitting, but not the trade ministers, not the commerce minister. That is the difference. So this is the one body where decision will taken by mutual consensus. Where decision is taken by mutual consensus. Where decision is taken by mutual consensus, which means that out of 164, even if one is not agreeing with the agreement cannot be passed. So all the 164 countries must go along with the agreement, or else the agreement cannot be passed. That is what is called as mutual consensus. So good. Now getting into the agreements. So when we talk about WTO, we will be talking about one important agreement, that is called as Agreement on Agriculture, AOA. Agreement on Agriculture. So in Agreement on Agriculture, it works under three important pillars. One, it's called as domestic subsidies. Is called as domestic subsidies. Second is called as market access. Third one is called as export subsidies. So this is also called as domestic support. Or domestic subsidies. Both one and the same. Domestic support. So these are the three pillars of Agreement on Agriculture. These are the three important pillars of Agreement on Agriculture. Market access, export subsidies, and domestic support or domestic subsidies. Then what market access is talking about? First we will talk about market access. What market access is talking about? So it talks about, suppose if India is having a WTO membership, so which means that all the foreign countries must have equal opportunity in accessing the Indian market. That is the point under market access. And at the same time, the domestic country, that is Indian government, must not differentiate between a domestic trader and a foreign trader. So everyone must given equal access to the Indian market. That is what is called as market access. First thing, we should not differentiate between one country with other country. For example, we should not differentiate between USA and China. Both must be treated as same persons. So we are giving differential treatment for China or differential treatment for USA. This is not possible under WTO. Both must be given the same treatment. First thing. Second, domestic player must not be treated differentially as with the foreign player. So for example, domestic player must be treated some more subsidies, and foreign players must not be treated like a foreign guy. So both must be treated in the same pattern. In the domestic market access. This is what is called as domestic market access. Second, export subsidies. What do you mean by export subsidies? So what happens normally when we are exporting a commodity? For example, I am exporting a commodity called onion powder. I am exporting this commodity, onion powder. So when I am exporting, I must not subsidize this onion powder and export. So while exporting, I should not give any subsidies. For export, I should not give any subsidies, which means that suppose if this onion powder is only 100 rupees, the market rate is 100 rupees. Suppose I am giving 25 rupees subsidy, then the price will come to 75. So when this 75 rupees worth is dumped in foreign market, this will crash the foreign market. This will crash the foreign market onion powders or onion prices. So that is the reason why I must not subsidize the export of any commodities. I must not subsidize the export of any commodities. So WTO forbids export subsidies or restricts subsidy giving for export of particular agriculture commodities. This is what is called as export subsidies. Then comes the important called as domestic support. Domestic support. Domestic support. So what do you mean by domestic support? In domestic support, we will be dealing with three important boxes. So I know you may be knowing these three important boxes. It is called as amber box, blue box, and green box. So this is called as traffic light approach. Traffic light approach. So what domestic support is talking about? So what type of subsidies can be given for boosting a agricultural commodity in the domestic countries? That is what is talking about on domestic support. So what type of subsidies are permitted under WTO and what type of subsidies are not permitted under WTO is called as domestic support. So to see what are permitted and not permitted, they are classified under a traffic light approach. So as we see in traffic light, we see red, nothing but amber, blue and green. We see these three signals. So even in agreement on agriculture, in domestic support, our traffic light approach, we have classified the subsidies under three, that is amber box, blue box and green box. So based on these three classification, we can say whether the particular subsidies are permitted under WTO or not permitted under WTO. This is the classification is used for. So first we will be talking about production. Now I will ask a question. Which is called as trade limiting subsidies? Which is called as trade limiting subsidies, or which subsidy is completely prohibited by WTO? Any idea? Which subsidy is completely prohibited by WTO? So it is export subsidy. No. It is no, in these three boxes, tell about three boxes. We are talking about three boxes now: amber box, green box, and blue box. So in these three boxes, which subsidy WTO prohibits completely? Yeah, that is amber box. Amber box is called as, yeah, fine. So amber box is called as, no, like electricity 5%. Okay, good. So this is called as trade limiting subsidies. But these two does not called as trade limiting subsidies. Fine. Coming to green box. Then what all come under green box? So this is called as non-trade limiting subsidies. Which means that the government can give as many subsidy as possible under green box. For example, for 1 kilogram of onion, USA is giving 50 rupees subsidy. Assume 50 rupees subsidy. India is giving only 20 rupees subsidy. But this 20 rupees is a big problem for WTO, but not this 50 rupees. Why? Because USA is giving subsidies under green box. But India is giving subsidy under amber box. That is the problem. Fine. In bilateral it was teached. Fine. Then tell me what all comes under green box. What all comes under the green box? Why it is called as Narega? Fine. So if we say, we can move to the next point. Ram, you can tell me what all comes under the green box. Why green box is called as non-trade limiting subsidies? Then what blue box? What blue box talks about? So fine. So in green box, the subsidies what we give for research and development, R&D, insurance, R&D, insurance, then income subsidies like DBT or universal income schemes, or infrastructure development. So all these can be called as green box subsidies, where we are investing more on research and development, insurance, income of the farmers, that is PM Kisan, that is the income subsidy scheme. Universal income scheme, basic universal income scheme, that is also a green box subsidy. Then infrastructure development. So you are wrong actually, Maheshwar. So what happens? So these are coming under green box subsidy. These comes under green box subsidy. Then coming to blue box subsidy. As Maheshwar told, it is called as production limiting subsidy. So what do you mean by production limiting subsidy? So what do you mean by production limiting subsidy, Maheshwar? To reduce farm production. So where we can use this? Normally in Scandinavian countries, they had almost achieved surplus production, which means that they have enough production for 5 to 6 years from now on. At the same time, the soil is so much contaminated, they wanted to revert back the soil fertility. For them, they will give subsidy under blue box subsidy, which means that they will ask the farmers, do not produce any producers or agriculture commodities. Instead, we will give you incentives through blue box subsidies. So to limit the production, we are giving subsidies. Fine, good. Then comes amber box. With this we will move. So before talking about this amber box, you should know what is product subsidy, then what is production subsidy. Here only you made wrong, Maheshwar. What is production subsidy? So normally in WTO, you can give as many as production subsidies, but when it comes to product subsidy, it is very much limited. So what do you mean by product subsidy? When the subsidy is given to produce a particular product, is called as product subsidies. When a subsidy is given to produce overall production of agriculture commodities, it is called as production subsidies. When we are giving only one product to develop a particular product, we call it as product subsidy. For example, MSP on rice. So here MSP is given only to produce rice. But when we give this PM Kisan scheme, when we are giving PM Kisan scheme, this Kisan scheme, we are giving 6,000 rupees for entire agriculture commodities. He can invest on infrastructure, he can invest on capital requirement, he can invest on anything, even on particular commodity. But here we are not focusing on particular commodity. In case we are focusing only on complete production of that particular agriculture production. So here it is called as production subsidies. So here in WTO we can give as many as production subsidies, and when it comes to product subsidies we have to limit. So this amber box is mostly on product subsidies. That is the reason why we called it as production limiting subsidies. Fine. So all our input subsidies, all our MSP, and our food production schemes. All it comes under what? All comes under amber box subsidy. Now, since it has been taught by you, then why India is not taken into WTO dispute resolution? Because our food production scheme is a violation of what? This amber box subsidy. Why we are not taken into dispute with the developed nations. Why WTO has not taken India into dispute? Because I told you we are giving food subsidy what 2.5 lakh rupees crore, 2.5 lakh rupees crore. If that is the condition, why India has not been taken into the international court? I mean, that is WTO dispute resolution mechanism, where India is not taken there. Why India is not taken there? Any idea? Or what is giving India the protection? What is giving India the protection? So what is giving India? Anyone? So I know this would have been taken. Peace clause. So India and other development countries, India under other, what is SDG? India and other developing countries are given relaxation under a clause called as peace clause. Peace clause. Peace clause, which means that from 2013 to 2017, India and other developing countries can invest as much as on their food security programs, and they will be given relaxation under what called peace clause. And this was the outcome of Bali summit, Bali agreement. Whether this was taken or not. Bali agreement. So India is given respite under peace clause, where it was taken from the Bali summit, Bali agreement or Bali summit. So for 4 years until 2017. In Buenos Aires in 2017, this was further extended. For 2 more years until the next summit. That is the reason why the current summit, which is going to happen at Nur Sultan, has become more significant, because we do not know whether this peace clause will be further extended or not, because USA is wanting India to restrict this peace clause, but India is wanted to extend this peace clause because of our food security programs. So for 2 years, that is until 2019. Now again, because of the extension of this further 2021 Geneva, until 2021 this peace clause will exist. So India is given respite. Fine. Did they talk about peace clause? பதில் நீங்க சொல்லுங்க. peace clause பதில் சொல்லிட்டீங்கன்னா நான் போயிருப்பேனே. Fine. Then what about this one? If you say this, then I'm fine. Special safeguard mechanism. If you say this, then we can move further. Where this was enacted, because these were asked in questions. If you are fine, done is fine. Nageshwar, I need answer for this. What is special safeguard mechanism? Because these were asked several times. Related to import. Fine. Where this was enacted? Which summit? Okay, fine. Which summit? Is outcome of which summit? If you say this, we can move further. Any idea? Because this was asked once. It's outcome of which summit? It's outcome of Nairobi. It's outcome of Nairobi summit in 2015. Okay. So I will not explain what is special safeguard mechanism, but special safeguard mechanism is outcome of 2015 Nairobi summit. Fine. Then was this taught trade facilitation agreement? Was this taught? If so, then we will move further. Whether India is a member, whether India has ratified this, No for what? Whether India has ratified NOVA illa. Fine. So earlier, India has not ratified this trade facilitation agreement. In 2018, the current BJP government has ratified this trade facilitation agreement. Trade facilitation agreement. Soon after the Buenos Aires, the peace clause was further extended, and in return, India was asked to ratify this trade facilitation agreement. So India ratified in 2017-18, and now India is following this trade facilitation agreement under WTO. It is a current affairs. It has not been asked in UPSC, but it's very important question. Trade facilitation agreement. Fine. So India has ratified. That is the current affairs. So I will not. So what do you mean by trade facilitation agreement? Anyone idea? So it is to reduce the red tapeism. So it is to reduce the red tapeism, which means that the bureaucratic hurdles or administrative hurdles. It is to reduce the administrative hurdles. It is to reduce the administrative hurdles. Fine. To reduce the administrative hurdles. So that is called a trade facilitation agreement. Fine. So any doubts in WTO? Since it has been asked, several times it has been asked. So we will move to food processing and supply chain management. Fine. So coming to food processing, amber box is related to product subsidy. Green box is related to production subsidy. Amber box product subsidy and green box to production subsidy. Fine. Coming to food processing, is India very good in food processing or not? Is India good in food processing or not? Is India good in food processing or not? Or where the food processing is not good in food processing? Good. But where the food processing has to be developed, normally where the food will get rotten, whether in the tropical countries or in the temperate countries, where the food products will get rotten, whether in the tropical countries or in the temperate countries, where the food will get rotten. Any idea? Tropical. So if that is the case, where the food processing has to be developed, normally in developed countries, normally in tropical countries, the food products has to develop. But unfortunately, only in the temperate countries, the food processing has developed. Why is it so? What is the irony? What is the irony? Normally, India has to develop robust food processing, but unfortunately, it is developed in USA, it is developed in UK, that is European Union, China, and Australia, but not in tropical countries. Why? Why is it so? Temperate or developed? Why developed countries are very good in food processing? What is the idea? Infrastructure, good. Then huge capital, fine. Do you think for food processing huge capital is required? Do you think for food processing huge capital is required? Not necessary. See, India is very good in food processing. Do you agree with me or not? India is good in food processing techniques, not as an industry, but food processing techniques. Even culturally, we are very good in food processing. Culturally, we are good in food processing. But why we couldn't develop in food processing? First thing is, it is because of this one, subsistence agriculture. For a long time, we had focused only on subsistence agriculture. For a long time, we had focused only on subsistence agriculture, where we never see food as a marketable commodity. Whether we have never seen food as a marketable commodity. The first reason is subsistence agriculture. First thing. Second, see, wherever this has happened, wherever this has happened, it has been succeeded by food processing. This has been succeeded by food processing. For example, European Union, Industrial Revolution started with UK, then succeeded with what? Food processing. Then United States succeeded with food processing. Then all other countries. Wherever Industrial Revolution has happened on a robust scale, it has been succeeded by what? Food processing industries. Why? Why is it so? Because of this capitalism. Because of this capitalism. Because what is money in capitalism? Time is money there. Since capitalism more dwell on time, investment on time. For them, producing food is very, for them processed food gives them more savage on what? Time, more savings on time. So wherever industrial revolutions had happened, there it has been substituted with what? Food processing industry. That is the reason where and all you see this robust industrial revolution, you had seen success of food processing industries. In India, whether we had industrial revolution or not, why didn't we have? Whether we had, if yes, whether we had, if no, why we didn't have? இந்தியாவில் ஃபுட் ப்ராசஸிங் இருந்ததா இல்லைங்க? சாரி, இண்டஸ்ட்ரியல் ரெவல்யூஷன் இருந்ததா இல்லையா? No sir, only deindustrialization. No sir, only D. What is deindustrialization? No, we had industrialization, fine. We had industrialization, but it was government sponsored. We didn't have, but we had religious education. No, that, what is the answer for this? Colonial rule. What Maheshwar wants to say? Maheshwar, நீங்க ஒன்றும் சொல்லல. The only deindustrialize. See, deindustrialized or industrialized? We had industrialization, but it was, we call it as prematured industrialization, which means that before it could mature, we jumped into service. This is was the problem with industrialization in India. We had industrialization. We had a industrialization, but unfortunately, before we could mature in that industrialization, we jumped into services sector. Why we never had industrialization? Because the answer is this. So because of all these things, we never were able to mobilize capital on industrial development. We were never able to mobilize our capital on industrial development. That is the reason why normally in China they started industrial revolution 1960 to 1970. Then the peak, they went peak by 2000, and now they are one of the highest manufacturing country in the world. Writing notes, so don't type Aprili. What is that? Okay, fine. So the China and India started industrialization in the same time, around the 1960s and 70s. But China was free from all these hassles. What were these? 1962, 1965, 71, 75 to 77, 77 to 80. What were happening at this time? What we were encountering? 1962 war with China. 1965 war with Pakistan. 71 Bangladesh war. 77 to 77, that is emergency. 77 to 80, administrative chaos or a political chaos, because 77 to 80 the first coalition government happened in India, and again politically that government was not stable, so we could not give them a good governance. So because of all this political chaos and administrative chaos, what happened? The capital which has to move for industrial development did not move for industrial revolution, but instead moved for war, emergencies and administrative chaos. So for all these things it was diverted. That is the reason why we could not have a robust industrial revolution. By 1980s only we focused on industrial revolution. But unfortunately in 1991 we went for globalization. So Rajiv Gandhi at that time took initiative where we should focus on services sector. So from industrial revolution which would mature, we jumped into what? Services sector. But unfortunately this industrial revolution could not rise the peak as China did or as other countries did. But for example South Korea, they were all very good in manufacturing countries because they use this period, transformation period. Their growth periods almost synchronized with India only, but unfortunately because of a war, etc., what we couldn't concentrate on industrialization. Yeah, fine. That is also true only. And 1970s itself they moved. Actually, 1970s itself, because that is called as Mao plan. No, they called this Mao plan. Mao Zedong. Mao plan. Fine. Services. So this is the reason why we could not develop. Okay, fine. What are the advantages of food processing industries? What are the advantages of food processing industries? First thing, it is a highly labor intensive sector. Highly labor intensive sector. Highly labor intensive sector, which means that next to textiles, food processing industries has the more labor intensive nature. Next to textile, food processing has the highest labor intensive nature, which means that a single unit of commodity, when we are producing, it will give more employment to more laborers. Second thing, why it is important, it has the skill, means it has the relationship to absorb low skill or semi skilled laborers. It has the beneficial of what, absorbing the low skill or semi skilled laborers. So normally when we talk about skill, India is very poor in skill development. So for food processing, the skill what is required is what, low skill or semi skill only. So when that is the case, then it can offer a variety of non-farm employment. Non-farm employment. Non-farm employment. Non-farm employment. See, first thing, this is the biggest advantage of what, food processing industries. Highly labor intensive. Second, it has the capacity to absorb low and semi-skilled laborers. Low and semi-skilled laborers. Even if it is low skill, the addition of capital on skill development is very less compared to industrialization, etc. Then non-farm employment. It offers a very good non-farm employment. So when it offers a non-farm employment, the food processing industry has the capacity to trigger reverse migration. Reverse migration. Reverse migration. Has the capacity to trigger reverse migration. For example, everyone are going towards urban. Now, if we have a robust food processing industry, then everyone will be diverted to the rural areas. Rural areas, because food processing industry can trigger this reverse migration because of this non-farm employment opportunities. Non-farm employment opportunities. Fine. Then we will talk about supply chain management. What do you mean by supply chain management? What do you mean by supply chain management? What all encompasses supply chain? This is the chain. This is the producer end. Sorry. This is the chain. This is the producer end. This is the producer end. And this is the consumer end. This is the consumer end. And in the middle, we will have this production house or producing unit. Production unit. Production unit. So supply chain talks about, okay, supply chain talks about the connection between, or the logistics between producer to the production unit, and from the production unit to the consumer unit. This is called as logistics or supply chain. Say in supply chain, one is very important. We should not talk about the production unit. So this is not under supply chain. This is not under supply chain. So this is very important. So when you talk about supply chain, you should talk about meeting the producer with the production unit. Then from the production unit, taking the finished product to the consumer end, or in simple words, raw material from here to here, finished product from here to here. This is what is called as supply chain management or logistics. Both one and the same. So logistics means the transport. Logistics means the transport. How we are taking the product from producer to the production unit, from production unit to the consumer unit. This is called as logistics. The overall mechanism is called as supply chain management. How we are going to manage our logistics is called as supply chain management. Supply chain management. So in supply chain management, This end is called as back end. Back end. This end is called as back end. That is meeting or where we meet the producer. This is called as back end. Where we meet the producer with the production unit. This is called as back end. And this is called as front end. This is called as front end in supply chain management. This is called as front end, where the finished products meet the consumers. This is called as front end. Where the raw material meets the suppliers. This is called as back end. This is called as front end. Back end, we meet the producers or the farmers. The front end, we meet the consumers or the final consumers or the final people who is going to consume the particular product. This is called as front end. Or sometimes this is called as upstream. There are many terminologies where you should read. And downstream. 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 So upstream means connecting producer with the production unit is called as upstream. Upstream. Downstream means from production unit to the consumer end is called as downstream. Is called as downstream. Downstream. Fine. Then so this is full of jargons only, full of words only, because UPSC will ask several times these words. Then this is called as backward linkage. This chain is called as backward chain or backward linkage. Backward linkage. This is called as forward linkage. So எல்லாமே ஒரே வார்த்தை தான், but நிறைய வேர்ட்ஸ் இருக்கு, வித்தியாச மீனிங் இருக்கு, வேர்ட்ஸ் இருக்கு. So anything may be asked by UPSC. So this is called as backward linkage and this is called as forward linkage. Backward linkage means where producer to the production house, from production house to where the end consumers, to the end consumers. So this is called as backward linkage and this is called as forward linkage. Forward linkage. So upstream, downstream, back end, front end. So இதெல்லாமே இதோட terminologies where in supply chain UPSC has asked several times only the terminology based question in mains. Terminology based questions in mains. Fine. So several times this question was asked in UPSC. What will be the answer for this question? Any idea? What will be the answer for this question? Food processing la irundhu or question or supply chain management la or question from mains is a mandatory at UPSC la. Either food processing or supply chain management, either like cropping pattern, cropping system. Every year we have question on these things. Repeatedly we are having. So they save us forward linkage. Contract farming is a reason. Fine, simple. Here you should talk about one thing. This is a very must word, must be present in your answer. So I already told you what is price spread. What is price spread? What is price spread? So these people reduce the intermediaries. They reduce the intermediaries. Because when there are more intermediaries, I told you more is the price spread. When their intermediaries are replaced by MNCs or these kind of supermarkets, so they reduce the intermediaries. When the intermediaries are reduced, the price spread is getting also reduced. For example, if farmer is given 30 rupees here, the consumer will be getting 50 rupees here. The price spread is what? 20 rupees. When the intermediaries are more, the farmers are procured at 30 rupees, but the consumers will be getting 70 rupees product. So here the price spread is what? 40 rupees, which means that once the intermediaries are getting extended, the price spread is also getting extended. So this MNCs or this supermarkets are both beneficial for both our producers as well as the producer, nothing but farmers. Not only for them, even for the consumers. For the consumers too. So this is the answer for this. Yeah, that is what we are talking, no? Price spread. See, when you talk about UPSC, we should be more specific. Or on the specific words போட்டீங்கன்னா you will get more marks. Suppose if you are not putting the specific words, we will not get that mark, 8 mark, 9 mark out of 15, we will not get. So that's very important, right? So coming to one more important concept, it is called as dry land agriculture. This will be the last topic. Dry land agriculture. So based on rainfall, agriculture has been classified under 3 categories. We call it as dry land agriculture. So based on rainfall, the dry land agriculture has been classified under 3 categories. First category is called as dry farming. Dry farming. So what do you mean by dry farming? So based on rainfall. So in dry farming, these are the areas which is completely arid. These are the areas which is completely arid. Completely arid. Here the only source of water is what? Rainfall. The only source of water is what? Rainfall. And these are the places which receive less than or equal to 750 mm per annum. 750 mm per annum. Some books it is given 700. So both one and the same. So these are the places which is completely. I will ask you in the last. I will tell you in the last where the questions are asked from UPSC. Please remind me. I will tell you in the last. So dry farming. So dry farming means these are the place where it is completely arid. The only source of irrigation water is what? Rainfall. And these places receive rainfall under less than 750 or 700 mm. Some books has given 700, some books has 750. No problem, both one and the same only. 750 mm. So these are called as dry farming. Why dry farming is important? Because in dry farming, the only source is what I told you, rainfall. So if that is the only source, here the crop cultivation period will be around 120 to 150 days only. Will be less than 120 to 150 days only. So only 2 seasons we can go for crop cultivation. So third season is not a practice here. Sometimes very rarely, if we have very good robust monsoon, we can go for third season. This will be the condition of a dry farming area. Normally Telangana, the northern parts of Telangana, the southern Tamil Nadu, Ramanathapuram area and all, the northern Karnataka, Marathwada region of Maharashtra, Vidarbha region of Maharashtra, and western parts of Rajasthan. So all these all come under dry farming areas, dry agriculture areas, dry farming areas, where the cropping season will be less than 150 days. That is for marginally for only 2 seasons they can go for agriculture or cropping season, less than 150 days or 120 days. So this is the problem here. Then comes the other classification, that is called as dry land farming. Dry land farming. So how this is characterized? First thing, they are characterized by places which receive rainfall under 750 to 1150 mm. 150 mm. Or some books has given 1110 mm. So write both. Nothing wrong. Write both. Here the source of water is what? Rainfall. And also irrigation water. So it will be like 60-40. It will be like 60-40. Just for example I'm writing. So 60-40. 60% will be substituted by rainfall, and 40% will be substituted by irrigation. Fine. So in these places we can grow crop for around 200 to 240 days. That is almost we can go for 2 to 3 seasons. Normally 3 seasons we can go here. For example, what is the average rainfall of Tamil Nadu? Anyone? What is the average rainfall of Tamil Nadu? Because Tamil Nadu comes under this dry land category only. Dry land farming, dry land category. But still we are going for 3 seasons of crop cultivation because of what I told you, where this irrigation facilities, this irrigation water like Kaveri, Tamarabarni and all, we are giving canal irrigation where we can go for 3 seasons. Southwest and northeast. Fine. So dry land farming. I'm asking how much mm of water we receive in Tamil Nadu, Maheshwar. I'm asking evlo quantity of rainfall we get in Tamil Nadu. What is the average quantity of rainfall in all over the India? இதெல்லாம் யூபிஎஸ்சி கொஸ்டின்ஸ். பிகாஸ் இன்டர்வியூல போனீங்கன்னா இட் வில் பி ஆஸ்கிங் உங்க ஏரியாவோட ஆவரேஜ் ரெயின்ஃபால் என்ன, இந்தியாவோட ஆவரேஜ் ரெயின்ஃபால் என்ன, they will be asking because you should know what you are residing at, where you are residing at, what is the geography of that particular area. So for Tamil Nadu it is around 900 mm. For Tamil Nadu it is around 900 mm. Okay, 900 mm. Yeah, around 900 mm. For all over India, it is around 1000. It will be around 1000 for all over India. 1000 all over India. Fine. Around 1000 mm. Okay, which area receives the highest rainfall in India? Any idea? Which area receives the highest rainfall in India? Any idea? Then finally comes this rain-fed agriculture. Rain-fed agriculture. Rain-fed farming. Rain-fed farming. Then comes this rain-fed. So all are wrong. Please update your current affairs. It is not Mars syndrome. It is not Cherrapunji. It is Mahabaleshwar. It is Mahabaleshwar. It is in the Western Ghats, where the river Krishna originates. Where the river Krishna originates. Where the river Krishna originates. Mahabaleshwar. Mahabaleshwar. Please. That is a current affairs. Last year, it has broken the records. It has broken the record of Cherrapunji and Mars syndrome. It is Mahabaleshwar. Fine. So rain-fed farming. This is the place where it receives more than 1150 mm. 1150 mm rainfall. So this is more fertile area. This will be the most fertile area. So here the irrigation will be dominating than the rain-fed areas. Irrigation will be around 60 to 70%, and 30% will be rain-fed. So here we can even go for 4 seasons. We can even go for 4 seasons. If we can allocate the crop such a way that we can go for 4 seasons. This is very important. So fine. So fine. So 4 seasons. These are about dry land agriculture. So when UPSC is asking about dry land agriculture, you should talk about all these 3. When UPSC is asking about dry land agriculture, you should talk about all these 3. Suppose if UPSC is going and asking dry farming, dry land farming and rain-fed farming, so you should talk about only these in individual. So according to the question you should answer. Suppose when we are talking about rain-fed farming, do not talk about dry land agriculture, or do not talk about dry farming or dry land farming. That is wrong, because terminologies alone play a part in agriculture, because UPSC will be asking only the terminologies. So நீங்க எழுதும்போது terminologies பார்த்து எழுதணும். Here rainfall is good, then why percentage of irrigation? See, simple. Even though rainfall is good, do we harvest all the rainfall? That's the important point. நமக்கு 100 mm வருதுனா we are harvesting only 10 mm to 15 mm. Rest 85 mm is going as what? Waste water only. So since we are not harvesting the water, we have to depend completely on what? Irrigation only. That is the reason why we are going for bores, pumps எல்லாம் போட்டு we are sucking in what? The groundwater. The groundwater. So groundwater, because mostly in South India only we are using this groundwater. Then Punjab, Haryana. Fine. So these are some of the schemes. I have done some, but I couldn't do everything. If that is the case, please refer. Please refer. So Kisan scheme, I already told you it is 2000 per installment. So total 6000. This will be the amount we are giving to the farmers. So it is the income substitution scheme. So around 6,000 rupees. See, what is the limitation of this scheme? Here the limitation is what? It is given only the people who have land. That is the biggest problem. But here we do not differentiate between big farmers, small farmers and all. We do not differentiate. Anyone who is having land, we can give them 6,000 rupees per annum, or 2,000 per installment. 2,000 per installment. Okay, fine. Sampara scheme for what? Sampara scheme is for what? It is for food processing. It is to boost food processing. It is to boost food processing. It is to boost food processing. Agricultural land only. I am talking about agricultural land only. Only those who are agricultural land, they will get 6,000 rupees per annum as an income substitution. 6,000 rupees or 2,000 in 3 installment. 2,000 in 3 installment. Fine. Sampara scheme is to boost food processing. PM Asha. So this is a alternative scheme for MSP. It is an alternative scheme for MSP for non-MSP schemes. Non-MSP schemes or non-MSP crops. And also crops other than rice and wheat. PM Asha. So this is a income support scheme for non-MSP crops. Even in MSP crops, we are giving only for rice, sugarcane, cotton, wheat, and rice, wheat, sugarcane, cotton. For other crops, we are not much concentrated. For all these crops and non-MSP crops, we are giving the income substitution through what? PM Asha. PM Asha. We are giving through PM Asha. Fine. Fine. Then Paramgrat Rishi Vigyan Yojana. Paramgrat Rishi Vigyan Yojana. What do you mean by Paramgrat Rishi Vigyan Yojana? This is for organic agriculture, to promote organic agriculture, to promote organic agriculture, to promote organic agriculture. Then PM Krishi Sinchai Yojana. This is called as per drop more crop. Per drop more crop. More crop. This is called as per drop more crop scheme. Per drop more crop. So this is nothing but a water harvesting technique, which we focus on what? Rainwater harvesting, improving the water storage technology of the country, etc. So it is per drop more crop, increasing the resource use efficiency, water resource use efficiency, increasing the water resource use efficiency. Then Andolan scheme. This is for watershed development. For watershed development. Watershed development. So I will just give you a macro orientation. So please go to the details of all these schemes because we don't have time to do all these things. இதெல்லாமே கேட்ட கொஸ்டின் தான், எல்லாமே இது வரைக்கும் கேட்ட கொஸ்டின் ஆர் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் கொஸ்டின்ஸ் only I am giving you. Then soil health card, we have deal with this. Fasal Bima Yojana, we have done with this scheme. Second one என்னது? Sampara scheme. Sampara scheme is for food processing. Sampara scheme is for food processing, to boost food processing, to boost food processing in India. The incentive scheme, if you are going for Sampara scheme, if you are going for food processing, the government will subsidy you using the Sampara scheme. Fine. Then Bandaran Yojana. This is to build rural godowns. This is to build rural godowns. This is to build rural godowns. Gramin Bandaran Yojana, to build rural godowns. Food processing. Then Matsya Yojana. So this is for marine products, to boost marine processing, to boost marine processing. That is fish and all, to boost fish and fish related products, fish related food processing units. It's called Matsya Yojana. This total scheme, earlier this total scheme was called as top scheme. Top scheme. Tomato, onion, potato, to promote these three. Now it is called as total scheme, to promote all the, in the budget it was, this top scheme was renamed as what? Total scheme. Total scheme, which means that to boost the production of all the fruits, all the fruits and vegetables, which is called as total scheme. Total scheme. TOTAL, total. Fine, because in the budget this top has been renamed as what? Total. TOTAL, total. Fine. So these are the very important schemes. Fine. So where and all UPSC will ask you several questions. In the first class I told you soil erosion. This is a very important topic. Soil erosion and erosion control techniques. So I am talking about prelims now. Soil erosion and soil erosion control techniques. In that I told you, this contour bunding and all, very important topic. Contour bunding. Then most importantly, salinity, alkalinity. Problem soils. We talked about problem soils, right? Problem soils. We should talk about these things. So this is a very important topic for UPSC prelims. Problem soils. Then National Food Security Act. This has been asked several times. National Food Security Acts, the schemes related to Food Security Acts, etc., etc. Please read all these things. Then terminologies. For example, terminology, what all we had seen: organic agriculture, zero budget natural farming, mixed farming. Don't write all these things. I'm just telling where UPSC has asked several times questions, where the question has been concentrated. Fine. So organic agriculture, zero budget natural farming, mixed farming, or integrated farming system. So these terminology based questions are asked every year. One terminology based asked question will be asked. Then tillage. So I told you in that zero tillage, very important. Zero tillage, very, very, very important. So you have to read these things and go. Zero tillage. Then we saw irrigation techniques. So in that, drip irrigation or sprinkler irrigation, mostly for mains. In drip irrigation, they will ask for prelims. For example, this year they talk about what? Fertigation, right? Fertigation. So this is a very important topic for both mains and prelims. Then very important, difference between cropping system and cropping pattern. It's very, very, very important. இதை நீங்க வந்து கண்டிப்பா படிச்சுதான் ஆகணும். Second, very, very important mains question, watershed management. So this is a very good mains topic. Water scarcity, water stress, water management ங்கிற வார்த்தையில நிறைய questions has been asked several times. Fine. Then MSP, a very good mains topic, a very good mains and prelims topic. MSP and subsidies, prelims. So on subsidies, so we had done enough on subsidies. So read all these things before going for examination. Then finally, food processing. This is a very important, food processing and supply chain management. Very important mains topic. So last year 2018 they asked a question on Sampara scheme, both in mains as well as in prelims. Sampara, PADA, Sampara scheme. So food processing and supply chain management. And in economics come agriculture, this is a very important scheme. That is the reason why I thought of taking. If it is done in bilateral, no problem. WTO scheme, please read and go. Fine. So these are the important topics. So at least எதுவே படிக்க முடியலனா at least இதையாவது ஒரு brush பண்ணிட்டு போங்க. If you even go through the notes, that is all sufficient. Okay, fine. Other than this, I told you read the geography NCERTs and economic NCERTs. So these are the primary source of agriculture. Then our agriculture book, what I had given what the institution has given you. So there, don't read all the topics. Compare with our syllabus and compare with the notes what I had given. So if you have any doubts, use it as reference material. Then very importantly, the NCERT what I told you, that is class 9 NCERT, Introductory Agriculture. That is very important book that you have to study completely. Without that, except that one chapter, that is animal science. Then current news, like ஏதாவது நியூஸ் பேப்பர்ல வந்திருக்கும் sometimes, இல்லாட்டினா like these farm laws and these are current affairs. அப்புறம் நீங்கள் கரண்ட் அஃபேர்ஸ் ஜியோகிரஃபியில் படிக்கிறதோ எக்கனாமிக்ஸ் படிக்கிறதும் அக்ரியில் மேட்ச் ஆகும். ஸோ தட் இஸ் ஆல்சோ வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். அதர் தன் தட் எக்கனாமிக் சர்வேயோட ஜிஸ்ட் படிச்சுட்டு போங்க. ஏன்னா எக்கனாமிக் சர்வே இதுக்கப்புறம் படிக்க முடியாது. இட் இஸ் நாட் பாசிபிள் டு ரீட் த என்டையர் எக்கனாமிக் சர்வே. ஸோ யூ கேன் ரீட் த ஜிஸ்ட் ஆஃப் எக்கனாமிக் சர்வே அண்ட் கோ. ஸோ 80 pages or 90 pages compilation will be given from the institute. You can read that and go. So instead of reading the completely, you just read that and go. So all these will be sufficient. So any doubts, you can stay, or else we can conclude the session. There is a hand raise. Tell me, Sivapriya. Sivapriya, you had a hand raise. What is the problem? Government slide.
Sir. Good evening, sir. Sir, how to remember the ministries and the related departments, sir? Suppose this scheme is introduced by this ministry, like that it comes, no, sir. How to remember this? Means any logic is there?
Normal logic la illa. Normally I ask the students, See, first coming to schemes, read the schemes that are introduced in the last 5 to 6 years first thing. So last 5 to 6 yearsல வர எல்லா ஸ்கீம்ஸும் படிச்சு தான் ஆகணும். அதோட மினிஸ்ட்ரிஸை மெமரைஸ் பண்ணி தான் ஆகணும். there is no other go. So you can have like mnemonics. Some people can have mnemonics, but that may not work for this government schemes. But I will ask the students completely to memorize. And again, don't read all the schemes which, for example, 2000ல வந்திருக்கும், 2005ல வந்திருக்கும், 2010 அதெல்லாம் தேவையில்லை. லாஸ்ட் 5 to 6 yearsல வந்து அப்படி பார்த்தீங்கன்னா there will be around some 40 to 50 schemes or 50 to 60 schemes தான் இருக்கும். அது இந்த ஒரு வருஷத்துல வந்த ஸ்கீம்ஸ் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு 30-40 ஸ்கீம் தான் இருக்கும். ஸோ இந்த 30-40ல 60 ஸ்கீம்ஸ்ல உங்க மினிஸ்ட்ரிஸ் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கிறது ஈஸி. பட் if you ask me if there any technique, no, there is no technique. Because for example, Fasal Bima Yojana is introduced by Ministry of Finance or Agriculture ஆனா கொஞ்சம் டவுட் வரும். ஏன்னா அது இன்சூரன்ஸ். மினிஸ்ட்ரி ஆஃப் ஃபினான்ஸுக்கும் சொல்லலாம், மினிஸ்ட்ரி ஆஃப் அக்ரிகல்ச்சருக்கும் சொல்லலாம். யூபிஎஸ்சி இந்த கொஸ்டின் கேட்டிருக்காங்க. நிறைய பேர் மினிஸ்ட்ரி ஆஃப் ஃபினான்ஸ் நினைச்சு தப்பு பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. ஸோ அகெயின் the only option is to memorize. No other go. மெமரைஸ் பண்றதும் பெட்டர். அண்ட் அகெயின் கவர்மெண்ட் ஸ்கீம்ஸ்க்கு நிறைய இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணாதீங்க. லாஸ்ட் 1 year வந்த ஸ்கீம்ஸ் மட்டும் படிங்க. இல்லை லாஸ்ட் 5 yearsல இருக்கக்கூடிய ஸ்கீம்ஸ் மட்டும் படிங்க. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் 2015லேருந்து வந்த ஸ்கீம் படிங்க. அதுக்கு முன்னாடி வந்த ஸ்கீம்ஸ் இஸ் நாட் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். அப்படி கேட்டாலும் அது நோ ப்ராப்ளம், விட்டுடுங்க. பட் லாஸ்ட் 5 years ஸ்கீம்ஸ் தான் யூபிஎஸ்சி கேட்குறாங்க. அதுக்கு மேலே கேட்கறது கிடையாது. அப்படி கேட்டாலும் அது நம்ம தலைவிதி. நீங்கள் ஏதாவது பண்ணி எழுதி தான் வரணும், வேற வழியே கிடையாது.
ஓகே சார். அதே மாதிரி தான் இப்போ இன்டர்நேஷனல் ஆர்கனைசேஷன்லயும் ரிப்போர்ட் பப்ளிஷ் பண்றாங்களா சார்? அதுவும் அதே மாதிரி தான்.
அதேதான்.
லாஸ்ட் ஒரு
ரிப்போர்ட்ஸ்லாம் வந்து கண்ணா பின்னாலாம் படிக்காதீங்க. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் வேர்ல்ட் எக்கனாமிக் ஃபோரம் படிங்க, யூஎன் பாடிஸ் படிங்க, அப்புறமேட்டு ஆம்னஸ்டி இன்டர்நேஷனல். ஸோ சில ஒரு செலக்டடாக ஒரு 10 இன்ஸ்டியூஷன் மட்டும் படிங்க, மிச்சத்தெல்லாம் படிக்காதீங்க. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் கண்ணா பின்னா இன்ஸ்டியூஷன்ஸ் இருக்கும், கிட்டத்தட்ட 1000 இன்ஸ்டியூஷன்ஸ் இருக்கும். 1000 நம்மளால படிக்க முடியாது. பட் எங்கெங்க நீங்க படிக்கலாம், யூஎன் பாடிஸ் படிக்கலாம், வேர்ல்ட் எக்கனாமிக் ஃபோரம் படிக்கலாம், யூஎன் பாடியில் வேர்ல்ட் பேங்க் படிக்கலாம், ஐஎம்எஃப் படிக்கலாம், அப்புறமேட்டு யூனிசெஃப் படிக்கலாம். அதுக்கப்புறமேட்டு ஸோ இதுலேயே பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு 20 ஆர்கனைசேஷன் வரும். இதை மட்டும் நீங்கள் படித்தா போதும். அதை விட்டுட்டு நீங்கள் எல்லாத்தையும் படிக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிங்கன்னா அதுக்கு ஒரு எண்டே கிடையாது. ஏன்னா நம்ம அந்த இண்டெக்ஸஸ் மட்டுமே 20-25 பேஜ் இருக்கும். அதுவும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒவ்வொரு இண்டெக்ஸும் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒவ்வொரு ஆர்கனைசேஷனாக இருக்கும். எவ்வளோ ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்க முடியும்? ஸோ ஒன்னா கரண்ட் அஃபேர்ஸில் வந்த ஒரு வருஷத்தில் வந்த ஆர்கனைசேஷன் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கலாம். இல்லை எக்கனாமிக் சர்வேல குறிப்பிட்ட சில ஆர்கனைசேஷன்ஸ் அதை ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கலாம். இல்லாட்டி இந்த பாப்புலர் ஆர்கனைசேஷன் மட்டும் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கிட்டீங்க, அட்லீஸ்ட் எலிமினேட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு யூஸ் பண்ணிக்கலாம். யூ கேன் ஈஸிலி யூஸ் ஃபார் எலிமினேஷன். நார்மலாக வேர்ல்டு எக்கனாமிக் ஃபோரம் தான் 3-4 தடவை கேட்டிருக்காங்க, ஐஎம்எஃப் கேட்டிருக்காங்க, வேர்ல்டு பேங்க் கேட்டிருக்காங்க. ஒரே ஒரு தடவை தான் வித்தியாசமாக ஒன்று கேட்டாங்க, வேர்ல்டு ஜஸ்டிஸ் ப்ராஜெக்ட்னு சொல்லிட்டு. அது ஒரு என்ஜிஓ. ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் அந்த மற்ற கொடுத்த ஆப்ஷன் பார்த்தீங்கன்னு பார்த்துக்கோங்களேன். மற்றதெல்லாம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா பாப்புலர் யூஎன் பாடிஸ் கொடுத்துருந்தாங்க. ஒருவேளை அந்த யூஎன் பாடிஸ் ஞாபகம் வச்சிருந்தீங்கன்னா இந்த வேர்ல்டு ஜஸ்டிஸ் ப்ராஜெக்ட்டுங்கிறது ஒரு என்ஜிஓங்கிறது உங்களுக்கு ஞாபகம் வந்துடும். பட் அன்ஃபார்ச்சுனேட்டாக யூஎன் பாடிஸ் நீங்கள் படிக்காமல் போயிருந்தீங்கன்னா அங்கே வந்து நீங்கள் தப்பு பண்ணுறதுக்கு வாய்ப்புகள் அதிகம்.
ஓகே சார். ஓகே சார். தேங்க்யூ சார். தேங்க்யூ.
Okay, fine. So I given my mail ID also. Any doubts you can ask me. Government schemes. எல்லா ஸ்கீம்ஸ் படிக்காதீங்க. Read, that is completely current and relevant. Okay, fine. All the best. Do well. So nice meeting you, Mageshwar. I don't know where is the other person. I forgot his name. Navab Shri, right? I don't know whether she is there or not. Navab Shri. Only 2 persons used to come for the offline classes, so I'll be missing them also. Fine. Oh, you are there. Thank you. No problem. Fine. Okay, all the best. We shall conclude the session. Do well. Oh, my mail ID cbe dot. Again, my mail ID. You can refer. Okay, thank you. Thank you. No problem. You can refer at lights. Maheshwar, night la padipinglo. Okay, bye bye. We are concluding the session, Maheshwar. Bye. We will see the class. I've given a cb.ariv@gmail.com. What should I mail ID மட்டும் எழுதி போட்றேன். For those who can't read the messages. I'm அனுப்பிச்சிருக்கேன், but they're asking again and again. So cb.ariv@gmail. So this is mail ID. Fine. So thank you.